The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
Welcome to 7-1, everyone but the top six. My name is Alec Biello, here with Brandon Bunchue and Zach Baranto. This is Buffalo's number one show, talking about the Premier League's other 14 teams, because as we said last week, all of these teams have something to play and something to make an impact for in the league. Boys, we're 2 weeks into the season. Our first two match days have concluded, and we got a lot that we can talk about on the sporting side of things and the games that we saw. But we also have 1 week left in our transfer window.
Yes, we do.
And one of the things we definitely wanted to talk about and spend some time talking about today is one Alexander Isak and his possible transfer in these next couple days. We don't know. The saga. This has been the saga of the summer, I would say.
Man, yeah.
We got some fresh news today, I think, where he had his conversations or, he had his, not interview, whatever it was. He talked with the owners, the Saudi owners, and tried to renegotiate something. But even after that, he's saying he wants to make his move and get out of the club. It's just, a little crazy how he's
at least he's sticking to his guns,
here.
right?
I guess, but we want to talk about here how a player can conduct themselves during these transfers and whether or not they're doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. And I feel like with Isak right now, he's just kind of treading into some dangerous waters here where he can end up in this purgatory state until January, because this transfer, what he did is just, this was poor strategy on his part, you know?
Yeah, it's just all across the board, just unprofessional. It's poor to the fans too, and the Newcastle fans idolize that guy. They treat that guy like he's the best striker in the world, which he's definitely showed patches and ability to be that striker going forward. But it's just the way he's handled himself and they're refusing to play as if they did him dirty and posting something on social media saying that promises weren't made, and it's just a lack of professionalism across the entire board from him. And honestly, if I was Newcastle, I'd be like, you know what, you can rot for 6 months because we're still going to sell you, we're still going to get money out of you in 6 months because there's going to be somebody that will come in and pay money. I would just be like, you know what, have fun with the reserves for the next 6 months, because if you don't want to act professional and have a good standing relationship with us after we treated you the way we have for the time that he's been there, then they should just let him rot, in my opinion.
Yeah. I look at it in I try to look at it at two different windows, from the player side of me and now the coaching side of me. The player side of me is, at the end of the day, this is still the game that you grew up playing since you were 3, 4, 5 years old. And it's sad to see somebody of that quality where now us as viewers thoroughly just enjoy watching it, whether you're a fan of the club or not. You enjoy watching a player like this, and for the player to be that selfish for something that was, yes, he worked towards, but it's just, to end up at simply, Rodrigo's kind of doing something similar now too, and he's having trouble too. It's when it's all about the wages, it's sad to see a player do that, because there's players like, I was never close to being in the Prem, but there's players like myself and, other guys around the country and the world that it's like, you would do anything and everything to be in this guy's shoes. And for it to come down to this, it's sad.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the point of wages and stuff there, because one of the things that we talked about before we recorded was the similarities of his situation to Gyökeres with how they're conducting themselves, because they're doing a lot of the same things, but the problem that Isak is having is his timing, right? Because Gyökeres made the case earlier in the summer and basically in January, throughout his entire season last year, that this is going to be my last year. This is sort of my resume year. Right. I'm going to make a move in the summer, and we'll see where it goes. And a lot of the talk last season for Isak was the same, where people are, envious of his play style and want to see him at another team. But again, like you're saying with wages and everything, he signed a fresh contract a season or two ago. Yeah. So that was already going to stop him from a move. Yeah. And then he is doing the opposite of what Gyökeres did in this regard, where Gyökeres sacrificed, like a couple million from his salary
And
from
his
Sporting.
love life too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he broke up with his girlfriend to make the move. It's
Dropped
like
it all.
that's a player that is willing to make the compromises where they need to make them in order to make the move happen, and it's just something that we're not seeing from Isak right now to make the compromises on his end to, fulfill everybody in this deal. So it's very interesting where we're coming down to with the timing here in this last week.
Especially, I think with the Gyökeres deal too, was like Sporting was ready for him to leave. They knew going in the transfer window, like they could, whatever, it doesn't matter what they do. Somebody with a ton of money is going to come in, offer him ridiculous wages, paid ridiculous money for him, and that's what obviously that's going to happen. Arsenal came in, they paid the money that Sporting wanted, they gave him the wages he was looking for, and they came in and got him. So like Sporting was prepared for it. There was at no point was Newcastle necessarily prepared for Isak to leave this summer, especially with making Champions League. They figured, you know what, let's get some people help him out here. And
they didn't really struggle last year, did they?
No,
Yeah, not really.
They had a couple of rough patches of form, but for the most part, they were pretty consistent all year. I think there's a lot of Newcastle fans that say that Isak was a large reason why they didn't struggle, and he saved them in a lot of games. And that's credit to Isak as a player, and I'm sure he looked at that, and I'm sure there was conversations that he's claimed where it seemed like there was supposed to be better recruitment or got some of these targets that ended up going elsewhere in. And I think apparently that's what frustrated Isak was the lack of ambition, which I don't think there was a lack of ambition. I just think it was a lack of getting the deal done. Right. And and that's part of ownership and people doing their jobs. And I will say there is definitely some issues going on with the higher ups in Newcastle right now. But like in the grand scheme of things, just the way he's acted, it's like you're still playing Champions League football. You still have a very solid squad around him. It's not like Newcastle's team is poor or anything. Like they're a very strong team still. Like I just think it's a horrible way for a player to act when leaving a club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I think just from the coaching standpoint now, like I was saying, it's for one, you want to have the players that want to be there, right? Because it's not only, especially at that level, it's not only the people in the club and around the club, it's millions and millions of people around the world, and it's so much more than just one player. And it's not Newcastle Isak United, like it's Newcastle United, and they have a name and a fan base and a city to represent, and I think he's just going about it all wrong and extremely selfish. However, with that being said, I think Eddie Howe, I have all the respect in the world for that man, for the way he's kind of put on the hot seat in terms of this saga, and I don't think I've seen him misplace one word. I don't think he stuttered once. I don't think off the field it's affected him or his mentality or his staff at all. And clearly it's on the field. It's it's showing.
Yeah.
So
it's like Eddie is definitely, again, we're talking about the professionalism and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
As a coach, he's handling it properly because for a manager with we're not going to say he's inexperienced, but for a team like Newcastle, it's a step up from him from Bournemouth to this, and you're taking on bigger egos and players at that point. And so this is a big test for him in terms of how he can handle a player that's forcing a move on him and forcing these kind of things to happen. And while we're, talking about that professionalism, it comes into, how Isak, again, he's just handling all this because he's refusing to report to training and all that kind of stuff. And it's just one of those things where you see the opposite end of, and I'm sorry to keep using these Arsenal player transfers as the examples, but it's just some of the recent news and some of the bigger high-profile transfers of the summer. Absolutely. But Eze just made his move last week, and you look at how he conducted himself over the summer. It's not like he was asking for a move anywhere, anytime, but he was one of those players last season, again, same regard, where he can go to anywhere. He can be on a bigger team if he wanted to. And all summer, it was, not all summer. There was rumors at one point for Arsenal, and then they died down, but then Tottenham came into the mix. But throughout that whole time, he was still playing for Palace. He played in the Community Shield final for them and ended up winning the trophy with them. So, again, it just shows when you commit yourself to your team in these moments where they could, you could want this kind of leverage and asking for a move. It's helping you in that regard instead of Isak, where he's not doing anything to help himself get this move to happen. So it's just crazy to see what's going on here.
And mentioning I think that's the perfect example of how a player should act when leaving a club and how a fan base should react to a player leaving a club. because the Crystal Palace fans have been nothing but phenomenal the entire time. There hasn't been a bad word said about him. It's literally just been, thank you. You've changed our lives. You gave us the best moment, one of the best moments of our lives. You've been nothing but respectful on the pitch, and they've been even more complimentary of him off the pitch and the man that he was, especially the fact that he represented what it means to be like a South London cage baller, like him, like this, like those kinds of players, like even Zaha. He's not. I don't know if Zaha was from South London.
No.
But he represented that mold of player too, and they gave Zaha a lot of credit. Zaha had some ego issues at times, but as they never had ego issues, he always had a smile on his face. It seemed like they said he was even better off the field, which is how you want to act as a player, especially in the position that guy was in.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't mean to jump ahead of you, but Zaha's a great player to bring up with all this too, because he was in the similar situation
right?
as Isak, where he signed a fresh contract before a big move, and then it kind of just shut everybody down from signing him because I think he had a big release clause or something or whatever it could have been. And then his stock went down from there. And then what happened after that? He went to Galatasaray or something like that, So who's to say this could be the same fate for Isak right now, where he just ends up playing in, Turkey or something like that for Fenerbahce. And, that's just where he... just it goes for him. It's
Which
just
I mean,
crazy.
nothing against Turkish ball or Galatasaray.
No,
or any
of course
them.
not.
Fantastic soccer, but no, it's sad to see. Just the three of us sitting here around this table chatting about it. Like it's sad. None of us really support Newcastle per se, but it's like you want to see those caliber players. You want to see them week in and week out, and you want to fantasy Premier League and stuff like
Right.
these are the players that make a difference, and that as a fan is fun to watch. It's fun to follow, and it's sad to see. With the Eze thing though, I had seen a TikTok. You were talking about how the fans and the community and stuff like that. I saw a TikTok, a video. It was two brothers, and they were talking about how he scored some goal, Eze, and like a week before the game or something, the brother's dad passed away, and something where like Eze scored and then pointed at the sky, and the guy was like, I was convinced that Eze was pointing at my dad, and he's like, that's just what he meant to this community and us, and that's sad. That's sad to see, that a player could mean so much. It's cool to see. It's sad for that, but it's cool to see, and I think it's important for specific players. That it's so much more than a game. It really is so much more than a game, especially in England. And I've lived it. It means everything. It means the world, and it really. I just keep coming back to it. It's sad to see someone of that caliber has. I don't want to say the audacity, but the balls. I mean, just
man.
Tie your fucking boots up and go play. Go play.
Yeah.
Get on the field.
At the end of the day, it's
Get on the field.
to bring it back to what you said with that. Anybody would kill to be in the position that some of these guys are in.
Yeah,
and
100%.
to conduct yourself like that, it's just tricky. So
Plus, I mean, I don't know what he wants. Say $300,000 a week, $250,000 a week. You're still okay, buddy. Like,
you're
you're
gonna be
still
fine.
okay. You're gonna be okay.
be all right,
225, you're gonna be okay.
And I just think it's a lack of understanding where you are too. Like, let's not act like Newcastle's some glorious town or like some glorious city like London is. Like, Newcastle is a working class man's town.
Yeah.
Like, that is a town where people, they get up off their ass, they go to work, and they work hard every day of their life. And their big fundamental of their city is working hard. Even if it's not the highest paying jobs, it's working hard. So the fact that you're going to go there and you're going to get a little fussy over money and make this big of a deal, and for this town that worships you, and they work hard just so they can have time to watch you play every week. Yeah. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's got to kind of remind you of Buffalo, of home a little bit, right?
Yeah,
and I mean,
in a way, yeah.
The way that we kind of as a community love Josh Allen, and this isn't a football that's down the hall, but like same thing. Blue collar people want blue collar players.
Yep.
And it's they don't want prima donnas walking around, with big Louis Vuitton. They don't care. They want to see the product on the pitch, and I don't know when he's going to give that to them.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We got another, I think what is this today? The 26th.
5 days, isn't it?
Basically 5 days here. It's going to be interesting to see if he even makes the move or if he's going to hang out there. So, if anything, we'll maybe talk about it when it comes back up. But at that point, it could just be, he's in the purgatory state. So,
do you guys have outside of Isak? Do you guys have one move that you think's going to happen or want to see happen?
I was curious about that. I was because I was definitely thinking, trying to think of like other players that can make a move, and we kind of talked about that on Sunday, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Like just
we went over
the
a little
Garnacho move, or like these wingers in the league. Like, it's not that I want to see the move, but Martinelli, maybe, like if he was to make a move away from Arsenal.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, exactly. But another high-profile move in the next couple, like either a player coming into the league or going out. Like, Donnarumma is rumored with City right now, especially after that, first couple games with Trafford and goal for City.
Shaky.
Very shaky, and that's not the kind of player that they need there. And then with the rumor with City as well, like, I would hate to see it, but Rodrigo is, on their list there, and then Tottenham was trying to get in the race with him as well. But I would just hate to see that happen where either of those teams if he goes there. But I don't know. Those are the only two big names that are still out there that were kind of rumored in the like transfer sphere to make moves. So we'll see what goes on with those two.
Well, as a Chelsea fan, I would hopefully none of these moves happen because I like to just keep it as it is, and we deal with the competition as it is right now. From my own bias perspective, I would still hope we get the Xavi Simons deal done. I just think he's the type of player that we need for like how that Crystal Palace game went with the low block. I still think we struggle with the low block, and I think he's a player that can help us open up that low block a little bit easier. And then I'd also, there's a lot of rumors about Tyreek George right now going to Roma, and looks like it's going to be we're gonna have a huge sell-on fee, which thank God, because I think he's a really talented young player. But I would love to see him go on loan to Palace, and I know they just got the here we go from Fabrizio for Jeremy Pino, who I think is going to be a pretty good player for them. But I'd love to see him. Like, we have a good history with loaning players, Crystal Palace, like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Conor Gallagher, even Trevor Chalobah last season. Like, I'd love to see Tyreek George go play in South London for a season and get some minutes in his boots.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The name that comes to mind is Xavi Simons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to keep the Chelsea talk to a minimum because I know that's your forte. But no, I think watching the Bayern game last weekend and seeing him 6-0 and just seeing, I don't remember if he got fouled or what happened, but he was just on the deck and he just looks so defeated. And I think he already has one foot out. If that's Chelsea, I think that's really the only place he's been rumored to go. But no, he's just too good of a player to be in a squad like that, getting beat 6-0, and it's Bayern. I get it, but you got to take your talents elsewhere. And I think it'd be a flashy name. I think he'd do numbers in the Prem, and I think for that Chelsea team too. Again, I don't want to. But I mean,
I'm trying not to get too excited because I don't know if it's going to happen. But I've loved the idea of it since the rumors started and everything started.
It's a scary one to think about.
Yeah,
it's a scary one to think about for sure.
He's definitely one of those like pieces to that puzzle that fits right in over there. Where a lot, and that's one of those things with, and we'll try not to talk too much about the big teams here, but a lot of them had those gaps that they needed to fill with their summer, and you saw some of that. Most of them did it, and I feel like if City can make these final moves happen that I just mentioned before with the goalkeeper and something else, that'll be good. And then it's just a matter of seeing if they materialize with them. Like Tottenham didn't really keep up with that. United did, but they're still trying to.
They still just need
make
more.
it happen.
Yeah. They still just need more.
Let's talk about United for a little bit because they fall into the classification here where they're not in the top 6, and they didn't fall into that last season. Yeah. And so far, they're off to another start where they're not anywhere close to competing to where they at the level that they should be at. No. So it's so confusing because it's been like over 10 years now. This team has been struggling to just regain some of this like strength that they had at their peak. You can't. It's hard to say, you can't just say that it's from Alex Ferguson days, but like what's going on? Like, there's just no thing to find and like put a pin on because we've seen players come and go out of this team, and we've seen managers come and go now, and it just. Is it the culture that the fans are creating around this team where the expectations are too high? And I feel like that could just be it because like this is a team that has this history and just what happened and what's going on.
I think the expectations for starters.
Yeah.
Just I think at some point like you have to just even though it's Man United, the expectations are always going to be high. At some point, you have to just look at the team and be like, we're just not good enough right now. And that's, I think until this season, really, back half of last season, I think that's what, as a Chelsea fan, I had to step back and be like, listen, like, we're going to get back there eventually, but it's going to take time. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem that United have had over this 10-plus year gap or so now is they're not taking their time with it. They're just trying to spend the money right away and flip the team around right away, and players aren't getting time to develop before the fans are on them too much. Like Sancho, for example, I'm not saying Sancho ever would have came good at United, but it felt like the fans turned on him really quickly. And, and I don't think Amarin's a great manager either. I think the idea of Amarin before he got here was good, but it just doesn't seem like it's working. Like Bruno playing in the pivot, I just still don't understand. I don't think his formation with the players that he has makes a lot of sense right now. Like Kobe Mainoo hasn't played a single minute in the first 2 games of the season, and he came out and said he's competing with minutes with Bruno, which doesn't make any sense because they're 2 completely different mold of players. So I just don't. I think there's a lot of things going wrong with Man United. I mean, obviously you've heard like Ronaldo and Zlatan talk about the issues with the training facilities and not being up to date. So I just think like from top to bottom, United's just a mess. Oh, yeah. Like I don't know what the answer is. I just think they need to focus on taking it slowly rather than trying to fix the issues right away. I think last year should have been a wake up call. They're like, hey, like we're not there yet. We're not going to get there overnight. We have to take our time, and I think they've made some good signings this summer, but I just think that they're not going to get the time to really gel before the fans and the media really gets on them and starts causing a lot more pressure than needs to be there.
Oh yeah.
I respectfully disagree with both of you.
Really? Yeah, I was watching you sit here trying to format that.
No, I respectfully disagree. I think, in a funny way, because it is Manchester United, I think the expectations are way too low. I think they're way too low, and I'll explain. I think they've lost grittiness and they've lost their structure. And I did not grow up as a United fan, but I believe that their sort of, duct tape is these big signings. And I think the big money splashes and stuff like that is something that you can expect from United, but I think they're trying to find pieces in all the wrong places. And I don't know much about Amarim as a manager, but I do think for the first time in a while, it's not him now going into a second year after 17th place finish, whatever it was. I think for the past 10 years or whatever it was, a manager going into their second season with United after a 17th place finish is already on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I've heard a single conversation of Amarim out. I think it's a lot of his system takes time. Players are coming to it. And I think with watching, some of their style so far, I think it's working. And I think these big name pieces that he's now bringing in, not just, for the United sake, it's for Amarim's sake. I think it's working. And I think if Cunha and Mbeumo and Mason Mount, I think if they've put in 2 or 3 more of their chances and they've gotten a little bit more lucky, I think it's not even a conversation because they've been outstanding in the attacking third. I think the issue that they now have is their midfield has no legs. And, you could say Kobe Mainoo should be playing, right? Casemiro he got to go, brother. You got to go. Casemiro does not have legs. These other guys, they don't have legs. Bruno, like you're saying, probably not his best position that they're throwing him in. And I understand the style, but they're slowly finding that structure. And I think they're a couple players away from being, and a little bit more luck, away from no longer being that 17th place. But in this league, especially for a club like that, right, you got to give it time. And it's hard. It's like a weird fine line. Like, you want to do it, you got to do it, but, like, you can't just do it. Mm-hmm. And it's a weird, like, pick and choose and place and stuff like that. I think they're finally going about it the right way. Yeah. I do.
What I will say is, I like you said, their first 2 games have not been bad. They were the better team against Arsenal for the most part, and they were the better team against Fulham. And both of those teams are just tough games at the end of the day. Like Fulham right now is a very good squad, and they make it difficult to beat them. Like you might win, but it's going to be difficult. Yeah. And I think, like you said, I think the two positions that they haven't strengthened this summer that I think they needed to strengthen are the midfield and the goalkeeper, especially the goalkeeper.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like they're bringing. I think his name's like Lemens or something. They're bringing him from
Right,
Belgium.
yeah.
Don't know anything about him. If I'm being completely honest, I can't act like I watch the Belgian league on a week-to-week basis. But that's the two positions I think they need to strengthen. I think some of the signings they have made have been good. Obviously, like I think Cunha and Wemma will, once they get going a little bit, will find their feet and do very well. I think Šeško. I don't think he's going to be clinical straight away, but I think he's a player he's still young and has some time to develop, and I think he will. I think Dorgu looks like he's getting better for the most part just about every single game. Lenny Yoro's a good young center back. So I just think, and I'm not somebody that thinks that they need to just fire Amarin just because he hasn't been doing well. I think, for example, like what Arsenal did with Arteta, they gave him time. And I just think that, I don't necessarily see the vision with Amarin. I think he needs to make some changes for his system to work.
But that takes time.
But
Those
it does
changes
take time.
Yep.
And I think like I was saying with just expecting it to flip overnight, it's not going to happen overnight. Yeah. And I think you obviously we kind of all touched on that. But I think that if they believe that Amarin is the guy, doesn't matter how bad it gets, they just need to give him time.
Right.
And I think, and they did a good job with giving Ten Hag time for a while. They let Ten Hag bring his guys in, and it just simply they didn't make the best signings. Mm-hmm. But I think Amarin has made some good signings now. And just need some time to let his team grow and develop and make some slight changes. I think that could get them to the next level.
Yeah, it's definitely. You both mentioned the two points that I was going to get at with that, where it's the timing and the structure and the time, just the time it takes to implement everything. Yeah. I always think a manager at least needs the full season. You got to give them at least a full season to put all their practice into play and see what happens, depending on the result, of course. But if they're getting you relegated, then you can make a set, get rid of them or something. But you look at United's manager list that they've had in the past couple of years. I think maybe Ten Hag is the only one out of these managers in that time to have a full season, from start to end. Yeah. I don't even know if he did, because he might have came in halfway into January or something and then got fired by that January the next year.
The only two that did were Ten Hag and Mourinho.
Yeah.
I think everybody else pretty much was given a weird time frame.
Right, or the interim manager.
Solskjaer ended up being there for a little bit, but he was somebody that they probably should have let go a little bit earlier than they did.
That's kind of where I come in, though, with the expectations being low.
Yeah.
Is almost being beneficial to them, because for so long it was just this is the guy. Oh, nope, see ya. This is the guy. Nope, see ya.
Right.
Now, I don't want to say United is expecting, 15 to 17, but it's almost okay, we need to restart. Mm-hmm. We have lost everything that we used to be about. We need to slow down to build it back up to what we want to be.
Yeah. A lot of what I was touching on was more so the expectation of the fan base and the media rather than the club itself. I think the club itself, honestly, it seems like they're the only ones that are trying to position themselves in a place to give it time. I think some of the signings, they're spending a lot of money, and obviously that always makes it look like they're trying to flip it overnight. But I do think them giving Amarin time, because Amarin easily, with how they played last season, could have been sacked already. Yeah. I'm not saying he should have been or could or was going to.
He had some risky games, and the luck was. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
The luck is where some of the stuff was going wrong with them. They were going right in towards the end of the season. They got lucky throughout that Europa League campaign, and they haven't been lucky in these first two games this season. No. So it's one of the things he said when he signed on with them is that we're going to suffer and we're going to continue suffering and. Boy, that's a team that's, they've been suffering, so we'll see if it continues.
We want to talk about manager and suffering, though. Should we transition?
Yeah, dude, that's exactly where I was going. You're on sync, because the team that's been suffering is just perpetually suffering, and holy cow, have they just had the roughest start, and they're going to continue suffering. Is West Ham United, man. Yeah. I mean, you were watching that game firsthand. You saw that huge defeat.
So this is what I will say, and I don't want to get too into the Chelsea aspect of things.
Sure, yeah, we'll focus on West Ham's.
I didn't even think Chelsea played that great in the grand scheme of things, to be honest. We started off really poor. West Ham easily could have been up 2-1. Unfortunately, not for me, but for West Ham fans, Todibo was ever so slightly offside for the second goal that ended up getting disallowed. But once Chelsea kind of found their foot in that game, they just carved them open like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like Esteval's assist, he pretty much walked it into the end line and squared it across Renzo to tap it in.
Right.
Wan-Bissaka, sleeping on 3 goals.
First 3. That's
And,
my first note, literally at
like,
fault for first 3 goals.
Midfield has no legs whatsoever. Like, Suchek and Ward-Prowse are both decent players, but not together. Like, it just doesn't work together, especially with the tactics that Potter is trying to implement right now. It's almost just irresponsible. With the team that he has, it's irresponsible. You're trying to play an attacking-minded, possession, slow build-up football with the team you have. I think irresponsible is just the best word to describe it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting flashbacks here, so if I sound a little angry, people were trying to tell me, oh no, Potter's a good manager, he just needs time. No, he stinks. I completely forgot about him until he mentioned him last episode about the first manager gone. I wish I remembered him because I know I doubled down on his point.
Remember it? I said it.
But I
said it.
I completely forgot about him. He is terrible. That's not even to get into the Sunderland game the first week of the season.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. The atmosphere in Sunderland was unbelievable. You couldn't even hear the announcers when they scored. But it was just to lose 3-0 opening day to a team that
The
just
newly
got promoted,
team.
and
That's
then
tough. It's
to
tough
go
luck.
to the next game and play even worse. And I understand it's Chelsea, and we played relatively well. I still think we could have played a lot better. Just horrible. And I'll let you guys go now because I could talk about how much I hate Graham Potter for hours.
Deep breaths.
but
Deep breaths.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
we talk about teams and, the expectations that come with teams. And I feel like I was just listening to, some of these commentators and everybody over the past 2 weeks talk about West Ham and the fans there. And just that is a fan base that is truly suffering. And just their expectations are just to see the team do well and just to have some of that grit and performance that they had in the the 2000s and the early 2010s and stuff. And it's really tricky because it's their recruiting has been not the best or whatever it's been. Just the players they're bringing in, we were talking about Paqueta before, and it's just I don't know what's getting to his head, or whether it's his just the club is bogging him down or something. But it's just shown on the field with how he's conducting himself. And when you got weak links like that, especially with a manager who can't keep the team together like that, it's just going to show, and the cracks are going to be there. And did they even? Oh yeah, they scored the 2 goals, but it's
One.
yeah,
the one, right?
Yeah.
1 goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just a shame to see what's going on with West Ham because when they made that, I don't want to make the blame when they moved stadiums because the Olympic Stadium is a nice stadium,
and
it's
they
pretty
have had
solid.
some success too.
And they had some, they just won the Conference League 2 years ago or whenever that was before all that. So it's it's really tricky for them.
I'll talk about Paquetá a little bit because I hate that guy. We were talking a little bit before the show. He just really reminds me of the kid with rich parents who nobody enjoys, but of course he just has these random flashes of brilliance. And I think for the club, you cannot rely on these just singular moments of brilliance from one single player. I think I've watched Jared Bowen drop so far into the midfield just to receive the pass just in that one game against Chelsea. It happens so many times. And when you have an attacking player, like you were saying, these attacking-minded players that are fantastic players, when he's dropping back that far, it doesn't matter who you got in front of you. It does not matter. And then it just goes into the not having the legs, and it just adds on and on and on and on. And then to have a goalie that I'm not even sure belongs in the championship behind you, that was one of the shakiest performances I've ever seen by a Premier League goalie. Poor reactions, shaky hands. I think his decision-making is just off. I saw a couple corners where he was just so caught in between what to do. And they got punished, and they look bad. And my last note, I was proud of this. I said, Potter bubble is popped.
Oh,
very
for
proud.
sure.
Yeah.
Whatever aura he had or whatever sort of presence that he built at Brighton,
Gone.
it's gone completely.
Gone.
He was able to get that transfer to Chelsea and make it happen there and try to, claim that he's this manager that he is, but it really just didn't work out at all. There was never any sort of period when he was there to say oh yeah, Potter had his reign. He definitely dragged Chelsea down, and it's taken them, these couple of years to get back to where they are now. But yeah, even once he made it to West Ham, he didn't even have any periods here where it was impressive or any sort of like mark that he made. So we'll see what goes on with him, man.
I think we got to give a lot of credit to David Moyes right now.
Oh yeah,
because what he accomplished with that West Ham team, unbelievable. And for West Ham to decide they want to move in a different direction from him and bring in Lopetegui as his replacement, who never did anything with any club. I think that's the guy that's going to elevate you from what David Moyes was able to do. And I can understand maybe you thought David Moyes' race was run, but make sure you bring in a suitable replacement. And then they kept bringing Lopetegui, who was awful as well. And Potter's doing, I think, worse now after. I think he has less points than Lopetegui had in 20 games, where it's like the same amount of points.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, how do you get rid of a guy like David Moyes and then bring in these two clowns? Yeah. Like, it's just unbelievably terrible decision making from West Ham. And in the transfer business, just there's no like fire. There's nothing to it. They let a lot of players go and haven't really replaced anybody.
No. Anything else on West Ham here? Because as you bring up Moyes, it's a great manager to segue into another team to talk about right now.
Emery?
Well, we'll get back into them, but
I thought that's where
we'll talk real briefly on Everton right now, because that's a team with the magic that West Ham had. And it's not like we're saying that Everton got it back overnight, because they had a rough first game where they lost, or no, they tied to Leeds. No goals in that game, I'm pretty sure.
No, Leeds won.
Leeds won that game.
Leeds
so
won.
I was expecting a text from him when I saw the score. I'm
right.
glad it never came, but I was expecting it.
I was coaching, so I didn't see majority of the game. And
Yeah.
I came back, and it was like 45 minutes after the game, so the highlights hadn't come out yet, and I refused to look at my phone.
Yeah.
So I waited for it, and then by the time I saw it, I was like, they already know. Like I'm not
yeah.
I'm not gonna blow it up. Yeah.
But so then it was like, because it was an away game, I'm pretty sure, and this past weekend was their home game. The first game in the new stadium.
Looks unbelievable.
And the atmosphere was insane, and you had one Jack Grealish just bossing it and holding it down, and he is so back, and it's just great to see something like that happen. It's like that's a team right now. New stadium bounce, new manager bounce, sort of. Even though he like with David Moyes, it's great. Like he has that history at the club there, so it could be cool to see him, help the team find those roots again, and especially with a player like Grealish. Like he tells him, "Hey man, come in here. You're going to be the main guy for me. We're going to bring this club back up, and I feel like you can help me do that." And that was one thing Grealish was saying after that first game. Like the conversations he was having with the manager were like pretty positive, and it just was like a no-brainer for him to go there. And I feel like it's going to be a team to watch this year. It's going to be, we can maybe see some of the old Everton return.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, let's just focus on Grealish for a second. Not even like obviously his performance this weekend, unbelievable. Looked like he was back at Aston Villa, Grealish, or like the treble-winning season. But just the body language on him, and like he was smiling the entire game. Like when was the last time we've seen Grealish like look that excited to be on the pitch?
Exactly.
Like it's been a while, and I know last year he had a really rough spell, but he just looked happy. Like, and I think people just forget. That's one of the things people just forget about sometimes. Is sometimes players just want to be happy. Like they don't necessarily have to be at a big club. Like. And I just think like Grealish is one of those players that suits being at a lower level club where he can just kind of free roam and do his thing, where he doesn't have to be a piece in a system. And I think that just suits his game better. Yeah. But just him, if he plays like that he did half the games this season, Everton is going to be a difficult team.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying they're strong everywhere, but they're gonna do a lot better. I think than I anticipated. I think they're gonna have a very good season, to be honest. But there's a lot of people putting them in European places. I don't know if they're going to finish that high still, but I can easily see them finishing better than what I initially anticipated for them to finish.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really got nothing else to add. I think just Grealish as a player, he just deserves a lot. I remember seeing that video. I'm sure you guys seen it too, where I don't want to say Make-A-Wish because I don't think that's the program over there. But did you guys see that video where he like had the day with the one and they gave him that goal celebration? Did you see that?
Yeah.
It was like the interview or whatever like that. I gained so much respect. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
And that is one of the things I will say about Grealish is there's times on the pitch where he has like that smug look on his face, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I just want to punch this guy. But he is a class act off the pitch.
Yeah.
And
100%.
obviously, there's all the videos of him drinking and having fun after they won the Champions League, and,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. Like, that's one of the
Put
best
yourself in
moments.
his shoes,
Yeah.
really.
Oh, yeah.
But like,
Put yourself in his shoes.
the way he is with like his sister, who I believe has cerebral palsy, and like
Yeah.
the way he acts with her and doesn't treat her any differently.
Yeah.
And it's just an unbelievable to see a guy with like it's shown at times he could have a little bit of an ego, but to deep down just be a genuine human being. Like it's always nice to see a guy like that finally look like he's happy on the pitch again.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, with him being a big player, big fish in a small pond kind of thing, that just works out with some of these players sometimes, and we'll root for him to see what goes on there. But yeah, let's dive into this other team that's having a rough go at the start of this season right now. And it's a team that was finding themselves in the top 6 mix, and they've now entered our realm. Yeah. Aston Villa's got 0 goals in the first 2 games of the season right now. They played Newcastle in the first game, and then
Brentford. They just lost 1-0 to Brentford.
Tar with the debut goal. I didn't even know he went to Brentford until he
Yeah.
saw the score. I was
Villa
like, oh,
looks awful.
yeah.
They're looking
Villa
pretty rough.
looks awful. I've watched both of their games so far, and I just notes again. My OCD went crazy, but like notes galore on Villa. So I'll let you 2 start.
Well, my curiosity just goes to what their ambitions could be for this upcoming season, because like they're a team that's been competing, and it's one of those things where do they find themselves getting complacent at the level that they've reached, or are they still trying to push on and compete to find themselves in these Champions League places and in European football? And it's like I can't remember any sort of high-profile transfers they made this summer, and I mean they got Watkins trying to start up front now, and like it's not like he hasn't been, but like they're rotating him with somebody else. Their other up, top. Yeah, man, but I don't know. It just is it the manager maybe too, because Unai Emery has spent too much time there, and he's realizing it that like he, what else can he get out of this team? It's just interesting to see what's going on with them.
Yeah. I just think it's a lack of improvement from the team. Like, I think they have some aging players like Watkins. He's only getting older at this point in his career. I don't want to hate on Watkins. I think he's a solid player, and he's been very solid for the past few years now, especially. I don't think it's necessarily Unai Emery. I think Emery's a pretty good manager. I know you might have a little PTSD from the Arsenal days, but
he got an unfair treatment. And I'll say this as an Arsenal
agree.
fan. He got such an unfair treatment because we had egos in the team at the time, and he was trying to learn English as a second language, and he was getting ragged for that. Like, and the good evening was haunting him forever, and that was one of the things where, like, as soon as he came to Aston Villa, I was just like, damn, I'd hate to see him get memed again. And it's like one of those things, he doesn't even say it anymore. It's like, so you just feel for the guy. And like, it's not that I was ever trying to see him fail at Villa, because like once I saw him go there, it was like, oh, this is going to be huge now. This is like a high profile manager with the team like this. And it's shown in the past couple of years, but now it's like, what's going on and what could he do?
And I don't, it's such a weird one because I'm personally not a fan of the player. They might need a guy like Nicholas Jackson. I know that sounds crazy to say, and that's, you could clip that, and I could get memed all over the place if the clip went viral. But they just look like they're lacking a bit of energy right now. Yeah. And he's a guy that will run the channels. Like he'll drop back and link up play. And I'm not saying that he's better than Watkins, because he's not a better striker than Watkins. But maybe they just need something like a little bit different, just to switch it up a little bit, or just to put some pressure on Watkins so like he feels it a little bit more. Because like obviously last year, like they had John Duran, who was coming off the bench the first half of the season and scoring goals for fun, it seemed like. And now they don't really have anybody to push him like for that striker spot. So maybe they just need some competition and just a fresh, like some fresh legs to come in and just mix things up. And Jackson's going to, like, wherever he goes this season, I don't know if he's necessarily going to have a great season, because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he's going to be hungry, because he kind of just got forced out. Like we kind of said, we're kind of, and part of that's his own doing with the red cards that he got towards the back half of the season in the Club World Cup, and his lack of clinicalness in the final third, and
his lack of just pure soccer ability.
Yeah, and it's just his lack of, like, with people. I always see people talk about how he should be a winger. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like I'm like, but not to get too sidetracked, but maybe I'm not even saying he's necessarily the person that Villa should bring in. I know they've been linked with him, that's why I mentioned him.
Yeah.
But like just somebody like with some fresh legs that's willing to run in a player, run the channels. Like I just think they're missing like a spark to like really get their season going and take them to a different level.
Well, and before you take that, like exactly as you're saying, it feels like that's what they could be missing, like a high profile name. But that's one of the things that Emery had a hard time with when he was with us. Like he had Aubameyang, Ozil, and all these guys that are just like big ego, big names that like he was having a hard time like controlling with his man management. And at Villa, it's like they don't have any of these players that are high profile names, but you got what's his name, McGinn in the midfield, and like Tielemans and some of these other like bigger names, or some these players that should have some of that locker room leadership, and they're just like maybe not showing it. Or not saying that McGinn has it, but like he's one of those. It's crazy because like he's one of those guys that just drives me nuts when I see him play. He's just one of those like rough and tumbling. Yeah, he's just always so annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So what do you got on Villa here? Where we?
Oh, good. I'll try and stay as positive as possible. No, they lack so much creativity. There's just absolutely nothing. Every time you watch them play, it's almost like every single one of the 11 is checked out. Like I don't even want to say they just don't work for each other. They don't work for themselves. They don't work for the manager. There's so many gaps. If a team like Brentford is exploiting you that badly, like you need to go back to square one. Like you need to sit down and have a little meeting with the coaching staff and the players. Ali Watkins is on an island. I think he touched the ball maybe 4 or 5 times in that first half, and I'm not sure it got much better in the second. There's just... They lack so much, and I don't think they did any, if much, business in the offseason, but it's just they got nothing really going for them except, and we'll go back to Brandon's best 11, Matty Cash has looked absolutely...
He's had a great start. He's about the only one in that team.
I'm not throwing world class out there because like that is just another discussion, but like Matty Cash has looked like levels above every single other player in that Villa kit. And now he's getting, rumored back to Nottingham Forest. So, like, you have that little spark going for you, Villa, and now you might lose it. But they need to fix something, like, quick. They need to fix it quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't remember if they fell into a European place. Like, are they in Europa League?
Europa League.
Yeah, Europa.
Yeah. They were, like, 6, weren't they?
6.
Yeah, because then it's Nottingham Forest in there with them, and then Palace is the continent, or, what is it? The Conference League.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's like... Villa's going to be playing those Thursday nights and then coming back in on those Sundays. It's
also speaking of Palace, they have Palace next weekend too.
Really?
That's a tough game.
They have Palace next weekend as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. For your first 3 games right there. And so that could be a huge moment. Like that could be a first 3 games where they maybe get a point, if anything. I would not say that they could go into, or is it home or away that they're going to?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure.
Selhurst, because either way, that's a crazy team to be playing right now with the momentum that Palace has.
If Palace keeps Wharton, Gahey, all those guys, if they keep them, they're still a good looking team.
Definitely,
still a good looking team. Yeah, and the guy, what was his name that you said?
Jeremy Pino.
Yeah, it's a good looking squad.
Wow. And to look at the other games that are happening that weekend, like, of course, we might want to talk about it a little bit, but Liverpool Arsenal happening so soon into the season here. But for a high profile game like that, if you want to just take that off the schedule that weekend, Villa versus Palace right now is the one that looks and just pops right out in my eye as like that is a huge game to be watching.
Forest West Ham
as well.
Leeds Newcastle. Sunderland, Brentford, United, Burnley. That could be, that could be United, Amaranth first. I mean, hey, go get that 3.
That could be a statement game for United.
Those are the teams that you gotta do well. If you're trying to turn the ship around, you gotta put in a performance against a newly promoted team. Yeah.
And then another one it looks like that we got for match week 3 is Chelsea versus Fulham. Yeah. Now we go back to the conversation you had with them showing up against a team like that they played with West Ham, but Fulham, if we want to go on the topic of them, they showed up in these first couple of games right now, coming back to get that point against United, and then the first week as well, they got the point against Brighton. maybe they try to grit down for their first win there and make a big statement against Chelsea. But that's also a home game for Chelsea, it's said too. So
and I will say their record at Stamford Bridge is woeful at best. I think last year was their second win against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in I think ever. Or maybe it's either first win ever or it was their second win in 30 plus years or whatever it was.
Oh, Fulham's first win.
Yeah,
there. Wow.
at Stamford Bridge. It was, our record against Fulham is unbelievable. Coming off last game, I still think we got some improvements to make, and I think this is a good game to show against a difficult opposition too. But yeah, I think Fulham will definitely make it a game. It will be a 2-1 game. I don't think this will be a game that last week or anywhere close to anything like that.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think Fulham can definitely has shown stuff already this season and showed a lot last season, and you have to give credit to Marco Silva. His substitutions are unbelievable.
Oh yeah,
it seems like he always comes off the bench to score a goal for his team for whatever reason. But it'll be a good game. West London derby, mile down the road. So because the Fulham fans don't have to go too far to get there, but it'll be a fun one this weekend.
I visited both of those stadiums when I was out there last summer, and that was a quick little bike ride to from Fulham Park to over to Stamford Bridge, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when I lived overseas, it was I think it was our third day there. There was 5 of us Americans, and they gave us tickets to Craven Cottage, and they were still in the championship at the time, but we were second row. And Craven Cottage, in its own right, is unbelievable, but then second row, it was so sick. It was so sick.
Oh yeah.
But no, the only thing I got about this year is defensively, I'm pretty impressed without having Robinson. So he came in, I think he played 30 minutes against United, and I don't know if he's going to play a full 90. I know he's not. The U.S. team just released their roster. I know he's not there. He's not fit for 90 yet. But if he comes in and plays, more than 30 minutes against Chelsea, Chelsea's going to have a tough time. Yep. And I think that's a massive piece to be missing, and to pull out 2 1-1 draws, against a Brighton team and then a United team that both have their flashes and their glimpses and very good sides. I think it's pretty impressive. So I think that's a very good matchup to watch for this weekend.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, we got, if we want to keep this tight for an hour here, we got about 10 more minutes. So we could spend a little more of this time. Maybe we could talk some of the bigger teams. I mean, this game coming up next weekend, Liverpool-Arsenal, could not fall at a more pivotal moment. First huge game of the season, and right after these first 2 weeks for both of those teams, this is you couldn't. The script writers were scripting over this offseason, putting this schedule together. I'll tell you that.
I don't even need my notes to talk about this one.
Yeah,
man.
I just want to say, Liverpool, their defenses look shaky at best.
Oh yeah,
it has not been pretty. I mean, 2 goals a game are so far every single game this season. It has not looked great defensively. Konate, the last 2 games especially, I don't know what happened to this guy. I don't know if he was at
I think
Burger
Leone
King
starts
too much.
soon. I think Leone starts over Konate
or
soon.
I think they're gonna make a push and try to get somebody before this transfer window ends, because I'm not saying Konate is a bad player. He's been great for Liverpool thus far, and he's won a Premier League, but man, these last 2 games have not been great.
Yeah, if anything, it just shows that you fundamentally and the structure wise, if you want to talk about the team that can go in on Sunday and get that win, I'm not trying to sound overconfident.
Say it.
But we can go into Anfield and get this win. I think this could be a huge win for Arsenal, and a statement win at the start of the season where they get that 3 points, especially after these 2 performances from Liverpool. We had those first 2 games, especially against the United game. Again, I'll say it where we got lucky to get that win, but it's exactly what Arteta said at the end, where teams like that, championship teams, doesn't matter what happens. The result is the end of the game. If you get that win, 3 points is the 3 points. And if you can walk out and play shitty like that and get the 3 points, that is how you win a title at the end of the year. Yeah. And so for us to be able to do that in that first game, especially against that United team, again, so much credit needs to go to United right now for what they did in this offseason and how they can try and make this happen. We can see what goes on, but again, we spent that time talking about them. But there was a tough team that they came out and played against, and Leeds last week was a great sort of just 90 to get the team chemistry together still and
Show some respect.
Listen, man,
There's not much to the show after that.
There was
Watch your mouth.
It was
Watch your mouth.
tough one for Leeds, but it was at the Emirates, and for the team that they were playing there, like that was just a no-win scenario for them. I'm sorry, but yeah, man, this is a huge game right now, and if Arsenal comes out and gets that 3 points, that'd be 9 from the first 3, and it's just you can't ask for a better start right there.
Now, one thing, I want to talk about 2 things, but
Yeah.
I'm going to finish with the other one. I want to hear your opinion as an Arsenal supporter, because you've heard it a couple times as far as Martinelli's game,
Right.
where there's very little end product. Get rid of him. Play Madueke. Someone else needs to be in that left wing position. My question for you, and I hate to say it because he is the captain, he is the engine, he is an energizer bunny, he's a fantastic player, absolute baller. But there is very little end product from Martin Odegaard recently. Very little.
It's tricky with Odegaard in that situation where he is the captain and the presence he has behind the scenes. You hear it from all the players where he is just this locker room leader and the way he is able to conduct himself as a professional. All that can be said, but at the end of the day, it's how you perform on the pitch. And he's had a rough season last year and his form has dipped down, but I'm not losing faith in him yet. I always, even before he came to Arsenal and we got that loan for him that year, I was always dying to see Odegaard play for us. Like, he was just that young, like, his silky play style is exactly what fits Arsenal. And he's been nothing but class ever since we've had him. And I could see the kind of situation happen this season. Like, the thing about what we did this year, we strengthened it in depth, and we have that depth now. You know, Eze is going to be right breathing down his neck. And I could see Eze or even Wanyeri taking the starting position from him in games. And
Well, they scored all 5 as soon as Odegaard left
left the field. Yep. So it's an interesting conversation to have. Me personally, I would have liked to see the captaincy change this offseason. I think Gabriel is more than ready to be our captain in the backfield. That dude, if you just watch an Arsenal game, you hear him. He sounds like there's a parrot on the field somewhere or something, but it's literally him in the defense being like, hey! He screams the entire game, and it just shows like how he holds everybody down and keeps everybody in check. And especially when he scores these goals, man, you see that passion in him. I would love to see Gabriel take a leadership role in that way. Even Saka has taken the armband in some moments when Odegaard's coming off. Like, Odegaard came off on that day.
That's their star boy, though.
Yeah, like,
Arsenal loves Saka.
he's just the, through and through what it is to be an Arsenal player. So even Saka being captain, but I think something like that, relieving the pressure on Odegaard, would help him because, as that captain, he just feels that responsibility and the weight on his shoulders.
If Odegaard, because Saka's now out for what they say 3 to 4 weeks, right?
3 to 4 weeks, yeah.
International break mixed in there too, so he's only going to miss a game or 2, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
But Saka's out against Liverpool. If Odegaard doesn't play against Liverpool, what does that 3 look like for you in that midfield? Do they slot Eze at the 10?
I think so, because it's too big of a game for Wanyeri to start. If he does start, that's a huge statement and a huge moment for Wanyeri. I think he could handle it, but at the same time, it's going to be a hostile environment, so I would hate for him to be in that pressure right away. He can get subbed on so that Eze doesn't get the pressure of the full 90 on his shoulders there. Yeah. But you get Madueke on the right for Saka there, and you either get Trossard starting against Liverpool because he has a great record against Liverpool. You could put Trossard starting on the left, or Martinelli. But it's exactly as we were saying with Martinelli. It's like he's had, like, the pressure is on for him this season, and you could even say the pressure's on for Odegaard. Like, these are 2 players that need to perform and need to step up, and it's one of the, like, we could afford after a season, if they're not in the position to perform, we can entertain other options for them and see if they are interested in, going somewhere else. And it's not like I would hate to see Odegaard go, but if we were to lose either of those 2, Martinelli, I could, like, everyone was already talking about him this summer and towards the end of last season, like, Martinelli's got to go. he doesn't have to go, because right now, exactly as I'm saying, the depth is there for us to do something this year. And if we can have a player like that to go to, we can keep him. But yeah, the pressure's on for some of these guys, which is good to have as well, because we need that sort of, expectation needs to be there. If you're not here, then boom, we are going to throw Midweke in, and he's going to be performing for us, and it's
Well, speaking of performance too, I want to make one more point, and then obviously I want to hear what you got to say. But this weekend, was it Saturday, Sunday, whatever day that game is, I want to see Max Dowman start, and I want Rio starting.
Man.
I want the
battle of the youth.
I want 15 versus 16
man.
at Anfield, 1 versus 2, Arsenal-Liverpool. I think that would be so sick, and I think you always hear about younger generations, whether it be America or anything else. You play a Max Dowman and a Rio, what is it, Engamoa?
Engamoa, yeah.
In an environment like that, holy cow.
Yeah. That's a huge moment right there for either of them. And I mean, Rio had his moment this past weekend, so that'd be great to see.
It hurts seeing a kid that was in the academy, I think, a little over a year ago.
Yeah,
and everybody said, and that was one of those things I saw where everybody was apparently all the academy officials were pissed because this was our guy that we really felt like we developed and just the natural ability that he had. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. We hear about these guys in the Chelsea academy all the time, but he looks like some player. Not even just the goal the other day, just the way he was able, willing to just drive at players and just the confidence he was playing with.
Same as Max Dowman, though, dude.
Yeah.
Same as Max Dowman.
Man.
Yeah, and this, I don't know if it's just these players are seeing a guy like Jamal now doing it at the age that he did it at and making an impact and thinking, why can't that be me? And I think there probably is a thing where we're going to start seeing a lot more teenagers pop up. And I just think the nature of the game and the level of coaching they're getting at a younger level now. And I think we're going to start seeing these teenagers just pop up and start making impacts more, even in Wary to a certain extent too. He's shown some flashes of brilliance.
It's crazy that he's 18 though, and we look at him as if he's been this player for forever.
Yeah,
he's 18.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago he made his first appearance, and he was the youngest player in the league history, and he's. And that's what's really cool to see us doing. It's we're integrating these teens very properly, and we're not just forcing them in and, gassing them out by the time they're 18. And, Wanyeri, that's where I can confidently say now where he, you can consider him to maybe start in Anfield because of how we've developed this player. It's not that I want to see it and force that on him, but next season, that could be a no-brainer because he signed that contract for us. So he's here to stick around.
Put development aside. This weekend, start Max Dowman, start Rio Engamoa. I want to see it. I want to see it. Start him.
Yeah, man.
I want to see it.
And I mean, I know we're getting close to running out of time here for today, but shifting gears too, Esteval looks like some player, man. I don't want to, and I was coming into this season expecting him, he'll get his goals here and there, he'll get his minutes here and there. This kid should start. He just looks and I know he was partially at fault for the first goal. Everybody wants he gave the ball away. Well, nobody closed down Paquetá, and Robert Sanchez could have done better on the shot as well. So I put it all on that kid for that moment. But he's trying something. It's a weird. It's not the best spot to try, but he's trying something. There's a little flick in the middle of the field. He runs at players with confidence. His finishing, I think, is the biggest thing that's got to improve. He should have scored from that beautiful pass from Reece James the other day. But he just looks like the real deal. And dude, at such a young age too. And I was thinking man, he'll probably be ready in a year maybe or two before he really starts getting starting shouts. I don't know why we decided to call him Steve, the fan base, but Steve looks like the real deal. He looks phenomenal, and I could talk about Chelsea and Esteval especially all day long, but he looks special, and I'm very excited for him going forward. And I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he looks special.
Yeah, man.
Last thoughts.
This Sunday's a big game, and then international break will take us into our next episode. So this Sunday is actually our last match week, and then we'll come back after the international break and preview some of the games after that. But, 9 points out of 3 games. Let's see it happen.
Yeah. Last thoughts?
I mean, it's been a fun start to the season so far. There's been some really good games. I wish Chelsea started a little bit better. I wanted us to have 6 from 6 at this point, but hey, is what it is. Long season, got a lot of time left in the season. All the relegation teams also have a win too, which is that's huge for them, especially they're all going to need every bit of points they can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting season so far, and excited to see what happens going forward. So,
What about you, man? Any final thoughts?
Start Max. Start Rio. I want to see it. I want to see it.
For the memes
what I
alone,
got.
for the banter
Memes aside,
alone, come
banter
on.
aside, start him.
Yeah, dude.
You want to see the sack on a player like that? You want to see how he's going to live up to it? You want to talk. Put him on the damn field at Anfield. Let's see it. Put him on the field.
Well, if one of the two starts,
I'm
that'd be
getting fired
great.
up.
Yeah, man.
Now I'm getting fired up.
I don't see him starting, but I can see them both, especially Rio coming off the bench. But
Yeah.
I could see Dauman, depending on how the games go, and maybe getting a shot. But
If Saka's out, if Odegaard's out,
why not?
why
Yeah.
not? Right?
Why not?
Exactly. Why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
We could see it happen. I'm down. It's not that I don't want to see it, but we could definitely see it happen.
I'm 27. My mom still does my laundry, and we're talking about 15, 16-year-olds getting on the field at Anfield. This is unbelievable.
Where were
Right,
you guys
yeah.
at 16? We're not. We're not scoring Premier League game winners. That's for sure.
Right?
But
Oh man, here, wait a second.
I can't even count to 16.
At 15, 16, what were you guys doing at that age, right? It's like,
Oh.
geez, I was making videos in TV production class and sharing them about the girls I was kissing. It's like,
Right?
I was too afraid to talk to women at the time.
Right?
I'm
Oh,
still
no.
afraid to talk to women.
All right, let's wrap it up. This has been a good episode, and we'll be back in another couple weeks to talk more of Everyone But the Top 6 in here at 7-1 Everyone But the Top 6. I'm Alec. This is Brandon and Zach. We'll catch y'all next time, all right? Enjoy the league.